Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome their excellencies, we'd like to ask you to please rise and be on your feet. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now be seated. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Indonesian-German Business Summit organized by the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Kadin and the Asia-Pacific Committee of German Business, or APA. So to start, please allow us to extend our warmest welcome to the Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency, Mr. Olaf Scholz, and the Welcome, Your Excellency. And would also like to welcome the President of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency, Mr. Joko Widodo, and our First Lady, Ibu Iriana Widodo. And would also like to welcome all distinguished ministers as well as members of the House of Representatives of Indonesia and the Chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin, Mr. Arshad Rashid, and the APA Chairman and President and CEO of Siemens AG, Dr. Roland Busch. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our organizers, allow us to extend our profound gratitude and sincere thanks to everyone for your participation and for your attendance here today. So today's Business Summit aims to provide a much-needed platform for all of us to connect with one another as we highlight the business and investment opportunities to further solidify the harmonious relationship between Germany and Indonesia, undoubtedly two powerhouses. So without further ado, please allow me to welcome to the stage the APA Chairman and President and CEO of Siemens AG, Dr. Roland Busch, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Let us give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Dear President Widodo, First Lady Ibu Rana, Mr. Chancellor, Excellencies, Ministers from Indonesia accompanying the President, ladies and gentlemen. It was in April 2016, Mr. President, when you visited our Siemens professional education facility in Berlin. It was a great honor to us. Since then, Indonesia's labor force increased by more than 11 million people, while the unemployment rate decreased, already on a low level. Now I know why you are so interested in education and training of people. We are too, and rightfully so. Because Indonesia is growing. Indonesia is growing fast in GDP and people. And you have big plans for your country. Become the fourth largest economy globally by 2045, growing the share of GDP from manufacturing by more than 5% within the next couple of years. And it's not just about manufacturing or more manufactories, it's about smart factories, factories that use digital tools and that operate at world-class efficiency. Indonesia is ready to gear up more than ever, with regulations that will make investments more attractive. Indonesia will attract private investments, with strategies that help building high-quality value add in Indonesia. For example, an integrated value chain for battery production, and this is where Siemens would come into place too. Indonesia and Germany would like and should grow together because we can build on a long-standing partnership and complementary strength. And it's not just one reason why Indonesia is partner country for this year's Hannover Trade Fair again. There's a lot German companies can contribute: technology and local investments. Take, for example, Infineon. They have an operation site at Batam for many years, but in a few months they will double their production area and focus on assembly and testing of automotive products, because Indonesia is the right place to grow. The opportunity is real, and the timing is perfect, but we need to work on it, because today Indonesia is only in position number 47 of Germany's trading partners. So let's focus on finalizing our EU-Indonesia free trade agreement, as you said yesterday, so we can trade and exchange more goods, more ideas, and more people too. We want to change this together now. In about an hour, a short walk from here, there will be 20 MOUs will be signed. A great thank you to everybody contributing, and I wish you a great day at the Hannover Trade Fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roland Busch, and may the future of Indonesia's relationship with Germany continue to be long-lasting and fruitful. And ladies and gentlemen, next, please allow me to invite to the stage the chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin, Mr. Arshad Rashid, to deliver his remarks. Let us give him a big round of applause.
A very good morning, His Excellency, Mr. Olaf Scholz, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency Bapak Joko Widodo, President of the Republic of Indonesia, Her Excellency Ibu Riana, our First Lady, Ministers, Excellencies, and honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank our partner, the Asia-Pacific Committee of German Business, or APA, for making this event possible on the sideline of the prestigious Hannover Messe. I'm Arshad Rashid, the chair of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin. And I am not alone. Indonesian business leaders have gathered here with a great spirit and optimism to strengthen our trade and investment ties with our global partners, in particular with Germany. Green technology, driving economic recovery through digitalization and renewables. You might be wondering, what does it mean? Business Summit's central theme have to do with strengthening bilateral trade and investment ties. We have been chosen this theme as we recognize that global businesses are faced with the challenges of navigating the complexity of post-pandemic world. This timely topic will undoubtedly stimulate thought-provoking discussion and fosters collaboration between our nations. By leveraging the transformative power of digitalization, we can create a more sustainable, efficient, and resilient industries. Additionally, embracing renewable energy not only helps combat climate change, but also generates new opportunities for cross-border collaboration, which spurs economic growth and job creation. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, Germany is one of Indonesia's most important European partners. With long-standing diplomatic ties, Germany was in fact Indonesia's sixth largest trading partner in 2021. In terms of investment, Germany is also one of the largest investors in Indonesia among European countries. As of 2021, German companies have invested around 9 billion euros in Indonesia. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic affecting global trade, there has been a steady increase in bilateral trade between Indonesia and Germany over the past few years. Both countries have expressed a commitment to further strengthening their economic ties, including through the negotiation or the support of Germany for the EU CEPA agreement, which aim to reduce trade barriers and increase investment flows between the two countries. A key part of the spirit is the desire to revitalize our economy following the pandemic and to move towards more innovative, sustainable, and resilient growth. As this year, Hannover Messe focuses on industrial transformation, Indonesia will be gaining a great deal of opportunities as the country is developing around high-tech and backed up by a digitalized population. More companies are also rebuilding its supply chain with a tech-based ecosystems and operation, which requires close collaboration with advanced countries globally. Moreover, Indonesia's economy is also filled with opportunities for energy and green solution, ready to take on the future vision of our decarbonized and net zero world. By working together and sharing expertise, Indonesia and Germany can collaborate on industrial transformation initiative that benefits both countries. For example, German companies can bring advanced manufacturing technologies to Indonesia, while Indonesian companies can provide access to the country's large and growing consumer market. This can lead to increased trade and investment flows between the two countries, as well as greater economic and social benefits for our people. This mission is aligned with the agenda of the G7 2022 presidency and the G20 2022 presidency, which were chaired by His Excellency Mr. Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor of Germany, and His Excellency Bapak Joko Widodo, the President of the Republic of Indonesia. And today, I would like to also bring attention to our latest endeavor in which Indonesia, under the leadership of His Excellency Bapak Joko Widodo, once again is trusted to chair the ASEAN 2023, in which, with the theme of ASEAN Matters, the epicentrum of growth, in which Kadin is mandated to power and the regional private-led reforms and economic integration under ASEAN Business Advisory Council or ASEAN BAC. The ASEAN BAC came up with the theme ASEAN centrality, innovating towards greater inclusivity, to tell the world the new path of our regional economic development, focusing on 5 key issues: digital transformation, sustainable development, health resilience, food security, and also trade and investment facilitation. Issues that are much relevant to the global and regional concerns. Indonesia ASEAN BAC Chairmanship will communicate on the 3 and 4 September in 2 main events: ASEAN Business Investment Summit, or ABIS, and ASEAN Business Awards, and followed by the ASEAN Indo-Pacific Infrastructures Forum, or AIPIF. At these opportunities, we would like to invite the business community to join this endeavor with us, not limited to the ASEAN community, but the global business community at large. It is very timely, as when you join the ASEAN business event, you will be able to tap into the future epicentrum of growth, which is Southeast Asia. Lastly, we must appreciate the trade and investment relations between Indonesia and Germany, also ASEAN and EU, that have been increasingly steadily throughout the past decades, despite some geopolitical turbulence. And hopefully, this year's Hannover Messe will contribute to the continued growth of relation between the two regions. The world is now showing the trends of deglobalization, protectionism, and narrow nationalism. Our job is to translate these trends into pragmatic benefits by linking private sectors so the world is connected with positive impacts and values. Thank you and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arshad Rashid, for always prioritizing Indonesia's growth and development. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit about our next speaker. So known as the People's President in Indonesia, building infrastructure and prioritizing on development have undoubtedly been the hallmark of his presidency. His Excellency has often said that the goal for Indonesia is to be one of the top 4 of the largest economies in the world by year 2045. And thanks to his leadership, we are on our way there. And last year, ladies and gentlemen, while all eyes are all on Indonesia, His Excellency also successfully held the G20 summit, undoubtedly marking another success for Indonesia. So it is only with the greatest pleasure and honor that we shall invite to the stage the President of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency President Joko Widodo, to deliver his remarks.
Yang Mulia, Kanselir Olaf Scholz, hadirin sekalian, good morning, guten morgen, selamat datang di Business Summit Indonesia-Jerman. Hadirin yang terhormat, situasi ekonomi dunia saat ini memang sedang tidak baik-baik saja. Prediksi Bank Dunia, pertumbuhan global berpotensi jatuh ke titik terendah. Tapi di tengah ketidakpastian itu, ekonomi Indonesia justru mantap menjadi titik terang, dan tahun lalu, di tahun 2022, ekonomi Indonesia tumbuh 5,31%. Tertinggi sejak 2014. Dan hari ini saya mengajak Jerman menjadi bagian penting dari kemajuan bersama. Kemitraan bisnis telah lama terjalin, bahkan di abad 18, Siemens dan Hals membuat jalur telegram pertama di Surabaya, Indonesia. Kemitraan Indonesia-Jerman ini dapat menjadi contoh baik kemitraan utara-selatan. Kemitraan yang setara, saling menghormati, saling menguntungkan, dan ini adalah wajah kemitraan untuk masa depan. Ada 3 hal yang menjadi prioritas Indonesia. Yang pertama, hilirisasi industri untuk meningkatkan added values, untuk menjaga sustainability dan membuka lapangan kerja. Indonesia siap menjadi mitra pengembangan industri semikonduktor dan produksi baterai EV. Saya mengharapkan dukungan para pebisnis Jerman untuk menjadikan Indonesia bagian dari rantai pasok chip global. Yang kedua, transisi energi. Bagi Indonesia ini adalah komitmen untuk mewujudkan dunia yang lebih baik dan potensi energi baru terbarukan kami sangat besar, 434.000 megawatt. Kami membutuhkan dukungan terutama terkait dengan pembiayaan inovatif, transfer teknologi tinggi, reskilling tenaga kerja, dan yang ketiga, untuk pembangunan New Capital City Nusantara. Ini bukan membangun kota baru dari nol, ini adalah hub baru yang menghubungkan berbagai fasilitas yang telah ada di kota-kota sekitar. Nusantara, a smart and sustainable forest city dengan 65% lahan untuk hutan tropis yang dibangun berdasarkan prinsip green energy dan green economy. So please come and invest di banyak sektor yang dapat Anda pilih, dan saya ingin sampaikan Indonesia will remain a safe, stable and prospective destination for your business. Terima kasih, thank you, danke.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, from Indonesia to Germany, as the 4th largest economy in the world and undoubtedly a world superpower, it is only with the greatest pleasure and honor that we shall invite to the stage the Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency Mr. Olaf Scholz, to deliver his remarks.
President Widodo, Excellencies, Mr. Bush, Mr. Rashid, ladies and gentlemen. Popular wisdom has it that small steps can lead to big progress. I would add that big steps can lead to even bigger progress. And today we are taking a big step in German-Indonesian business relations. Of course, the Indonesian and German economies are already closely intertwined. We are Indonesia's biggest trading partner in the European Union. More than 250 German companies have branch offices in Indonesia today. Many of them can look back on a long, mutually beneficial history in your country. But we can accomplish even more. That is the message of Indonesia's presence here at Hannover Messe. And as I pointed out yesterday in my opening remarks, the conditions to do so could hardly be better. Both of our countries are keen to diversify their trade and investment partners. Both of our countries are implementing an ambitious plan to become climate-neutral digital economies. This is precisely where we can benefit from each other's strength. Indonesia's economy has impressive growth rates that call for greater investment. We share the goal of creating fair raw materials partnerships that increase both local production and the resilience of our supply chains. There's fresh momentum in our negotiations on a free trade agreement between Indonesia and the European Union. Billions are being invested in climate-friendly technologies and infrastructure in Indonesia and in Germany alike. The Just energy transition partnership that we concluded with Indonesia during our G7 presidency last year plays a key role in this. And most importantly, there is you, businesses from both of our countries who develop the cutting-edge technologies that ensure that climate neutrality and prosperity will go hand in hand. What President Widodo and I just saw during our tour of the fair is truly impressive. And so I call all of you, on all of us, to seize the opportunity at hand, to think big and to take big steps together. My thanks go to the BDI and to the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kadin, for hosting us this morning. And to all of you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And everyone, I'd like to ask you to please remain seated. And due to their Excellency's tight schedules, Your Excellency, you may continue to your next agenda. And we'd like to thank you once again for your presence and for your illuminating insights. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our next agenda will be the cooperation signing as well as the panel discussion. But we'll have to wait for their excellencies to arrive into the venue for us to begin that session. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as our next session will continue shortly, we'd like to invite everyone to please be seated. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as our next session will begin shortly, we'd like to invite everyone to please be seated. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, what a great and active day that we've all had. So for our next session, we continue to the cooperation signing. Let us capture this great moment with a group photo together of our excellencies. Therefore, allow me to invite to the stage the Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Bapak Airlangga Hartarto, along with the Minister of Industry of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Agus Gumiwang Kartasasmita. And for this group photo, please allow me to also invite the Chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or KADIN, Mr. Arshad Rashid, and the APA Chairman and President and CEO of Siemens AG, Dr. Roland Busch, as well as the President Commissioner of Astra International, Mr. Priyono Sugiarto, and the Chairman of the Board of Executive Directors of BASF SE, Dr. Martin Bruder-Müller, and the Executive Director of Econit, Mr. Jan Ronfeld. Ladies and gentlemen, as we capture this great moment together with a group photo session, we'd like to invite our photographers to take a picture. May the relationship between Germany and Indonesia continue to be fruitful, successful, and everlasting. Thank you very much. And Your Excellency, Bapak Agus and Bapak Airlangga, we ask you to please remain on stage, and everyone else, you may return to your seats. Thank you. Distinguished guests, without further ado, to further solidify the relationship between Indonesia and Germany, next is the cooperation signing. Therefore, please allow me to invite the representatives from the Directorate General of IRIIA and Mars Envotech, and the Government of West Nusa Tenggara and PT Pancanaka Teknologi Nusantara, and from Nusantara Capital City Authority and PT Siemens Indonesia. We'd like to ask for the representatives to please join their excellencies on stage as we capture this great moment together. Okay. And next, we'd also like to invite the representatives from ATMI IGI Center and Solinatra, and PT Krakatau Bandar Samudra, dan PT Molsures Melindo Indonesia, Kendal Industrial Park, and Hans Dislage GmbH. And let us take this great moment with the group photo together with their excellencies. The Coordinating Minister of Economic Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, as well as the Minister of Industry of the Republic of Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, let us give them a big round of applause. further marking another success of our relationship between Indonesia and Germany. And Your Excellencies, Bapak Agus and Bapak Erlangga, we ask you to please remain on stage, and everyone else, you may return to your seats. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, next, please allow me to invite the representatives from PT Marubeni Global Indonesia and PT Apollo Solar Indonesia, PT PLN Persero and Siemens Energy Global GmbH and Co. KG, as well as PLN Icon Plus and ABB Private Limited or E-Mobility, PT Pancanaka Teknologi Nusantara and Mars Infotech, Block Solutions Indonesia and Block Solutions OY, PT Pancanaka Tua Madani and Mars Infotech, PT Stekhok Robotika Indonesia, PT Festo Indonesia, PT Wiraraja Tangguh, PT Tynergy Teknologi Group, and Peruri or Perum Percetakan Uang Republik Indonesia, and PT Global Sukses Solusi Tbk. Thank you so much, everyone. And now let us capture this great moment with a group photo. May this cooperation signing further prove to all of us the harmonious and beneficial relationship between Indonesia and Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give them a big round of applause. Your Excellencies, Bapak Erlangga and Bapak Agus, we ask you to please remain on stage, and everyone else, you may return to your seats. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the representatives from PT Bumi Lancar Abadi and PT Daur Ulang Gemilang, PT Teknologi Digital Nusantara or Tech Bros and Uplink Network GmbH, PT Free the Sea and WIK Far East Limited, PT Nusatama Properta Banbil and Mechatronics Technology HK Limited, PT Yogya Presisi Teknika Tama Industri and Shiva Machinery Manufacture Co. Limited, PT Hatono Istana Teknologi and Everynet BV, PT 247 Solusi 247 and CHL Netherlands BV, PT Polindo Bioenergy Pratama and Libella SPZOO. And last but not least, PT Surabaya Industrial Estate Rungkut and PT ETA Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, this incredible and much needed cooperation signing is worth about $2 billion. What an amazing, another milestone for the relationship between Indonesia and Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, and thank you so much. You may return to your seats. As we wrap up the cooperation signing photo opportunity, we'd like to once again extend our profound gratitude and sincere thanks to everyone for your participation and for your attendance here today. Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrapped up the session of our high-level speakers as well as our signing cooperation. And now let us continue to our next agenda, and that is our business summit. And before we start our business summit, I'd like to once again, on behalf of our organizers, say thank you so much for your participation and for your attendance here today. So ladies and gentlemen, this business summit undoubtedly serves as a very important platform for all of us to network with one another as we highlight the business opportunities that will further solidify the relationship between Germany and Indonesia, undoubtedly two powerhouses. And it is also one of the most notable events for stakeholders to acquire the most accurate information and the most updated information with regard to the investment as well as business opportunities and climate of both countries. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, after we hear the words from the high-level speakers that we had this morning, and today on this business summit highlighting the relationship between Indonesia and Germany, we will also feature speakers that are company leaders, undoubtedly experts in their respective fields, and together we're going to learn so much from them. So this session will highlight on the Indonesian and German business cooperation. And today we'll talk about an array of topics surrounding on how to drive economic recovery through industrialization, digitalization, as well as energy transitions. The three aspects that are undoubtedly very important for both Germany and Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, as this session is very much anticipated, as all of us will hear and learn so much from our speakers, allow me to tell you a little bit about our wonderful moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the delegate of the German industry in Indonesia, and he's also the executive director of ECONID. It is only with the greatest pleasure and honor that we shall invite to the stage. Please welcome Mr. Jan Ronfeld. Let us give him a big round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it works. So, a very warm welcome from my side. Good morning. Hope that if you want to move up a little bit, I think we have a few free seats in the beginning, in the front seats. So now is the actually business summit. After we had the political and the welcome regards, now I have the distinct pleasure to invite two senior executives, one from Indonesia, one from Germany, Mr. Piono Sugiarto from Astra, please come to the stage, and Mr. Dr. Martin Brudermüller from BASF, please also join me here. So I think we have about 30 minutes still left. We're already running 1 hour late, so we have to wrap it up to a certain degree. I would like to start with introducing speaker to the left or closer to it. Yeah. Astra, maybe a few words to the company. Astra was founded in 1957 as a trading company, and by today is actually the largest privately owned industrial conglomerate in Indonesia, with about 200 subsidiaries and about somewhere over 200,000 employees, with a full range of product services in the automotive industry and partnerships with companies like Toyota, Daihatsu, Isuzu, Peugeot, and BMW for automotives and Honda for motorcycles. But it is also active in agriculture, infrastructure, energy, technology, and property. And a big part of that success story can be linked to the chairman of the Astra International, Piono Sugiarto, who has actually worked for 20 years in the board of Astra, 10 years as its CEO, and his German links are from his early time, from his studying time in Germany. He studied Maschinenbau and Wirtschaftswissenschaften at the university in Konstanz and in Bochum, and now is still the chairman of the supervisory board of ASTRA, and most importantly is the chairman of the German-Indonesian Chamber of Commerce as well. Pak Priyono, let's start with you. The question, during the last 2 decades, Indonesia has actually achieved an unprecedented, impressive, stable growth of 5 to 6% annually, and literally lifted about 100 million people or more into the middle income class or a bracket. It's now a member of the G20 countries. What, from your perspective, made this success possible? What challenges are there? Can you describe it from your side, please?
Thank you, Mr. Rundfeld. I think Indonesia today is different to Indonesia some 30, 40 years ago. So I've never seen such a beautiful Indonesia with all the data basically encouraging for us to go to the next leap. If we look back, when you mentioned that I was in Germany some years ago, I left Germany some 37, 38 years ago. It's a totally different Indonesia today. So 1.3 trillion economy, GDP per capita of close to 5,000 per capita, and we have a working force about 140 million, less than 6% unemployment rate. That's all amazing, and 50 billion US dollar FDIs. And most importantly, you mentioned about the future of Indonesia. You know that we all are talking about so-called demography bonus. And you know that Indonesia will experience between 2030 to 2040 this demographic bonus to be really working as an automatic gear in that sense, because 60% of our population will be all these productive people between 15 and 64 years. Probably I should stop there.
Yeah. You see any still challenges remaining?
Oh, challenges, there are always. There always been challenges. I mean, I've been back 37 years now, but we must say that we've been enjoying from these challenges with all this up and down. But one thing for sure is that Indonesia is a civic society. We'll have another election going in February 2024. I think we should be ready to face this democracy in Indonesia. And we're glad that Indonesia has become and turned to become now a very, very democratic government in this country, in this region.
Yeah, thank you. Let me touch one more sector which I would like to is the information technology and communication, the topic digitalization, as it is part of our overall topic. I mean, Indonesia's ITC sector is growing from about 45 billion to 125 billion within 5 years.
Yes.
Having roughly already the same share of in percentage and its GDP as it has now in Germany, but it will be almost double. And we have the fintech industry is growing by in 2020 by 240%. We have e-commerce growing by over 20-30% a year. ASTRA is a shareholder, I know, in a number of these promising companies. What makes these industries and their companies so successful in Indonesia? Could you elaborate on how digital world is changing in Indonesia?
I think one thing's for sure, Indonesia accounts for 50%, 50, of the Southeast Asia economy. And back in 2020, we had somewhere GMV, gross merchandise value of 50 billion. And if we look at the forecasts, by 2030, we should have somewhere between 5 to 7-fold of this, what we have today. It's going to be somewhere between 250, 300 billion Indonesia only. And what makes things different is that we have a so-called emerging affluent and affluent people, basically class, which is the middle class of Indonesia, going stronger and stronger. Back in 2020, we had somewhere to about 20-25% of the Indonesian population being the middle class, emerging affluent and affluent middle class. And going forward, if the forecast is correct, what Boston Consulting Group already predicted, it's going to be somewhere 45% down the road, 43-45%. But by 2030, 45% out of 295 million is a huge number, 120 and 130 million. That makes the GMV growing fast to 250 to 300 billion by 2030.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to come to our second panelist. Normally BASF, I think we don't have to explain very much, but as we are in the Hannover Messe, it's not really your territory. Let me just say also a few words to BASF. It's of course a multinational chemical company, the largest chemical producer in the world. Founded here in 1865 in Germany, is now presented in about 80 countries with, I read, 390 production sites and employs about 110,000 people. And Dr. Martin Brudermüller is the chairman of the board of executives. He was born in 1961, and of course he studied chemistry and at the University of Karlsruhe, and earned his doctorate there in 1987, and did a postdoctorate at the University in California in Berkeley. He joined BASF in 1988, and after various positions in Germany, Italy, and in Hong Kong, as board responsible for Asia, Mr. Brudermüller became the chairman of the board of executive directors in 2018. Mr. Brudermüller, BASF is active in Indonesia already quite some time, since the mid-70s, has currently 3 production sites in the country, and is providing services or products to a number of industries. How would you describe your experience, or BASF's experience, so far with producing in Indonesia, especially in comparison with the region countries or the other countries in the region, and what role does BASF Indonesia plays in the BASF world as a whole?
Yeah, Jan, thank you very much. Indonesia is one of our major growth markets, I would say non-Chinese in Asia. We have more than 600 million sales over there, and we are growing very nicely with the GDP and the opportunities in the country. As you said, we are basically a proxy for the manufacturing industry and material supplier for the manufacturing industry. That's also why BASF can grow as good as the customer base can in Indonesia. We have done that very well, and I think we have exploited the opportunities. From a manufacturing point of view, it is a good location for being customer close. It is maybe not the prime position to be in the petrochemical arena, where you usually have then big facilities also for export. That's also why BASF has very much focused on the opportunities in the country. So we are very happy with the opportunities over there. So the question is actually, what is the potential going forward? And I think Indonesia is one of the countries where we all wait that actually it is exploding in the sense of making use of its opportunities. It's not only about the size of people and the 17,000 islands. It has a fantastic geographic and geopolitical positioning. And I think the average age is 30 years. So it has the demographic dividend, whereas many other countries don't have labor anymore. So I think the opportunity for Indonesia, and that is also the next step for BASF, is actually a partner in raw materials, not only on the side of bio-based materials, because our industry has to change from fossil to alternative raw materials, and I think there is hardly any other country next to Brazil that is so well positioned like Indonesia to make use of that. It is also the source already for our major raw material, the palm kernel oil, which we need for detergent, personal care, cosmetic raw materials. basically supplying us globally. But I think the next step is also all the ores and the other national resources has. And that is also where BASF is with its French partner Eramet looking into a nickel refinery currently, which is actually the raw material for the battery materials for the e-mobility. And I think this, and to give big credit to the government of President Widodo, which I think has brought the country on the right path, not only building on infrastructure, professionalizing permits and everything like that, but it is also the focus on industry. It is one of the countries that clearly says we want to have manufacturing GDP in the country, which is not the case anymore in every country in the world. So for that reason, I think we really hope that Indonesia opens the next chapter of growth. We want to be part of that. And I think in that respect, it is also fair to say that Indonesia has interest and has to develop also value add on its rich resource base. We as BASF intend to dramatically increase our footprint with the good experience we have made over many decades in Indonesia.
Especially you mentioned the topic, the raw material, and extending the value-added chain there, independent of your project. I know it's still in the planning stage. I mean, on one hand, Indonesia is known as a country with a huge potential already many years. Is it the change of the policy which made it better? And I think this goes to both of you. The question which makes the investment coming in. We had last year a record inflow of investments. Is that something which is also you feel? Because, as I said, the potential is there since 20, 30 years, and Indonesia was always a little bit behind what everybody thought it could be.
I mean, as always, the tone is set at the top. I think that is true for a company, and that is also true for a country. And I think the government of President Widodo was very clear what the intentions of the country are. And I think it was very well articulated, but also the steps over the recent years give also credit that it's not only having ideas and ambitions, but also materialize on the ambitions. I think if you look on infrastructure development, road construction, a lot has happened in Indonesia. If you apply for business licenses, this is much more professional today. It's much more fast. So I think there is a lot of credibility that it is not only about talking, but it is really offering competitive advantage going forward. So I think it is now looking also on the cooperation now with Germany, on us, on the companies that we build these lighthouse projects to show and showcase that Indonesia is a country worth to invest.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Astra Group is, of course, a big player in the automotive industry. How do you see, and you have experience with German car manufacturers because you worked for them, you established BMW and Astra before you moved to. Do you think there's still place in the market for players from outside, other Japanese or now Korean?
I should say never too late to German brands. So BASF, how long have you been there, Mr.
1975.
Since the 70s.
Yeah.
My goodness. Never too late. I used to work for Mercedes-Benz, both in Stuttgart as well as in Indonesia. They started early 70s. And then BMW, they have an assembly plant which is with us, our group, since the 80s. I think what they need to do is just to jump and try to invest. So I think when Mr. Bush came to see us in Jakarta, I also invited him to invest in this country. Look, especially on the auto side, I should say if we look at the penetration of the auto industry, the four-wheeler especially, we only have 10% penetration, which is 100 out of 1,000 inhabitants. And there is still a lot of room. And if I look at the numbers where we are today, GDP per capita is of about 4,800 to 5,000. When China reached this GDP per capita, their market was as high as some 16, 18 million. And Indonesia population is about 1/5 of China. The potential of this auto, the four-wheeler market is somewhere 3 to 4 million. But we only have 1 million. It means it will definitely come. And I'm sure the cake is so big so that there will be always room for German brands to invest into Indonesia. And especially with hybrid or battery vehicles, you've got now the 20% tax holiday if you are a manufacturer. You have a super reduction tax of 300% if you have a research and development in this country, 0% import duty for BEV, for IKD, CKD. Luxury tax is also 0%. I think there are a lot of numbers that, like Mr. Müller just said, Indonesia's government under President Jokowi, they are really trying to make it simple and easy as we can, so that it should be investor friendly. There is no such a word saying that we are too late. There will always be room even for German brands like Ford, Opel, Volkswagen, whatsoever.
What about the automotive supplier companies?
Of course.
Same.
So look at our group. We have Toyota, Daihatsu, BMW, Peugeot, and Isuzu. We cover from the upstream to downstream. Even on the upstream side, we have at least 70 companies providing the components, providing the manufacturing of the components to make basically it's only not only just an assembly plant, but also a manufacturing base.
Thank you. Mr. Müller, our panel actually highlight is about industrialization, digitalization, and energy transition. What does that mean for BASF? How does your business in Indonesia or in the region contribute to these goals?
Well, as a big global company, you set your targets globally. So 25% less CO2 until 2030, net zero 2050, that's the global BASF target. That means if you want to achieve that, all the operations locally have to contribute. So that is also where you ask and you challenge your national teams, what is actually very special in the country to contribute. And I think if you're looking into Indonesia, I tapped into this already, there are opportunities in all these areas. And I think the main part comes from actually the raw materials area. And I would like to mention 3 examples. I mean, the one is really the battery material value chain, which I already said, where I have to say it is maybe less of the same what Indonesia needs. Indonesia needs an upgrade. I mean, if you look on nickel refinery, we have about 1 million tons of capacity until 2030, all Chinese investments. And there's one European in the making, and that is the one of BASF and Eramet. We don't want to repeat what the others do. We want to actually have a best-in-class project for sustainability. So that is actually, I think, where the Indonesian team can set the example that you do these operations with a much lower environmental footprint and close the loops and change the energy base. That's the first one. The second one is what I mentioned already, the bio opportunities, the renewable raw materials. It's basically the palm derivatives or palm oil derivatives. But there's so many opportunities with lignin, cellulose, sugars, and many, many other things, proteins, which you could think about, where you have uninhabited islands in these 17,000 islands, where you could actually use to also produce these raw materials. But let me also use a third example, which is actually a project the Alliance to End Plastic Waste does, where BASF is a founding member, where we have Bersih Indonesia, which means Clean Indonesia, where we actually have a model where we collect plastic waste and convert the plastic waste into pyrolysis oil, which then can be a raw material for closing the circularity in raw materials. This is all examples where Indonesia could actually role model, could actually show how such a model works, which then could be scaled actually worldwide in other countries. So that is actually what I expect from our BASF teams, that they come up with those examples which contribute to a better Indonesia, but also at the very end to a better BASF and to a better world.
May I add what Mr. Müller just said? We look at BEV, for instance. Half of the world nickel reserves are located in Indonesia. So we produce some 1.6 million metric tons of nickel last year. So half of the nickel reserves are in Indonesia. And we are targeting net zero by 2060. And I think the blueprint of the Indonesian government is very clear. We had a moratorium starting for the oil palm plantation, and we have already introduced the biodiesel 35 to reduce the greenhouse gas. Now we know that by 2025, it was mentioned last night by President Jokowi, there is no more license for coal-fired power plants. We have also carbon tax on coal-fired power plants. Everything is basically towards net zero 2060. I think there will be, is there no problem at all? I think we should lie if there is no problem. There will always be a problem, but we are here to solve problem, and I'm glad that BASF, such a big company, Siemens, such a big company, they are really committed to invest in my country. See, ich muss ehrlich sagen, Indonesia today is totally different than that of 40, 50 years ago.
But Jan, let's also say all these projects, resilience and also CO2 reduction, has an impact on the business case. If that would be the normal thing to do, everyone would do it today. So if we come with these projects, we have higher investments and we have a lower margin. So it is very much about the Indonesian government, which has to be also creative in generating the business environment to invite the companies that they can establish attractive business models and decarbonize. Because if, for example, in the nickel refinery area, you continue to build the projects you have done in the last 10 years, you will never decarbonize until 2060. So that is, I think, the chance now for Indonesia and also the chance for companies to establish lighthouse projects that are really different, that make the difference and show the way how actually to decarbonize activities.
Please help us, please Germany, help us and assist us in achieving the net zero by 2060. Yeah, that is there is always opportunities in this country, and I think Germany and Indonesia, we have a very close relationship.
Do you think that the current, let's say, regulatory legal environment in Germany or partly even in the EU is supportive in that direction, or rather not?
Well, I think we have a very interesting landscape because the Green Deal started to be very ambitious, to be leading in the green revolution. I think we see now that maybe the European way is not the best way to achieve that on one hand economically and also from a time horizon. If you look on the IRA, which is in everyone's mouth currently in the US, that is actually a wonderful example of how you create a business case that facilitates transformation. The Europeans go for a vast regulative framework which is actually enforcing transformation. So China has another way to go forward. They do piloting, and one day the government says now we are scaling up, and they will be very fast in catching up. So the interesting thing is, what is the approach of a country like Indonesia? And I think there actually we could really benefit together, because Germany as a hub with technology, with a very strong focus also on sustainability technologies, low energy technologies, and bringing that together with actually a regulatory and an incentive scheme that is innovative from the Indonesian government. Indonesia could, together with us, really put its own way, which I would think could be very, very successful and could make a difference and could be actually very attractive for investing in Indonesia. So I think it is worth to explore this territory together.
Thank you very much. You cannot see, we have here large clocks ticking down on the 30 minutes we have only available. So I would like to, maybe the last question to Babayono. You have lived in Germany, you worked here, you studied here, you have always done business and friendships with Germany. Is there anything you would like to recommend or share with your colleagues here from the business community in doing business with Indonesia? We had a couple of ideas just mentioned by Mr. Budamela from the government side, but from the private sector perspective, what would you recommend?
Again, Indonesia today is different to Indonesia 40, 50 years ago. I see Frau Botschafterin here. So I think you should promote the German education, especially the vocational. I've always been impressed by the vocational training in this country. And I'm the one with Jan introducing the first Meister program in the world outside Germany. And that is done by our group Astra in collaboration. I take a chance because I'm the chairman of the German-Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. And I think what is missing is actually to promote more the German vocational training, because going to university, going to wherever in the world is probably the same. But vocational in Germany is something different. And I think it is important to promote vocational training, and if we could do more and more collaboration between German IHK and the Indonesian Kadin to promote the vocational training. You've got somewhere 300 disciplines probably in Germany, whereby I think it is still missing in this country. And ich werde mich drauf freuen.
Thank you.
Frau Ambassador.
Thank
Frau
you very much.
Botschafterin.
Mr. Brudermüller, you also have a recommendation from your side.
I mean, first of all, I wish Indonesia all the good luck for getting into this new future. What I would recommend you that you also should be self-confident in the Indonesian way. And I say this as a European, you don't have to do everything the Europeans want to do. Fight for your own positions, and I think with that together we will find a good way. I have one recommendation, so keep it an open economy. Because all the ideas to actually restrict market access, to bring certain directions and regulations in, actually I think have always proved to be not the best way for a country. So make the country attractive, listen to the business needs, generate incentives, generate attractivity, and speed up in terms of all the official part that we need as investors. So I think if we do that together, and I think it was mentioned by the two state leaders, it has to be a partnership on the same level of eyes with respect for each other. And I think if we listen to each other and if we combine what we have, we can actually create something really new. So all the good luck for Indonesia.
Thank you very much, both of you. Yes, please, warm welcome. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have still 30 seconds left, which I will now use to close this session. I would like to thank both of my panelists or speakers for sharing their experience openly, I think interestingly. I think we learned that there's a lot of potential, and rather than just talking about it, what has often been done in Indonesia in the past, it has now been implemented and in a quite successful way, at least in the two sectors or three sectors we mentioned. The digital economy in Indonesia is, I think, much more advanced than many of our German or European colleagues are aware of. And then the second big topic is, of course, the value-added chain and the raw materials, which the country is starting now to utilize in a much better way, and they are interested in partnership on the same level. And I think we have all a lot of chances to go forward. I would like to encourage you to visit the Indonesian pavilion. There are a lot of projects. During the whole week, there are also events presented here on stage every day, at least two, with more technical topics. Again, let me thank my two panelists for the broader view, and I wish you all a great Hannover Messe and a wonderful day. And I go back to our lovely MC.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. What an illuminating session, ladies and gentlemen. And we ask you to please remain on stage. And to receive tokens of appreciation, allow me to also invite Mr. Fridolin Strak on behalf of the APA. And ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, please also allow me to invite to the stage to hand over the token of appreciation, Mr. Yul Edison, the Deputy Chief of Mission. As well as on behalf of Kadin, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Yongki Sugiarto. Let us give them a big round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Yul Edison and Mr. Yongki Sugiarto, on behalf of Kadin, for handing over the tokens of appreciation to our speakers, to our moderator, as well as to Mr. Fridolin Strak on behalf of the APA. And as we wrap up the Indonesian-German Business Summit, what an incredible, very illuminating session for everyone. And I hope everyone has gained incredible insights from our speakers here today. And let us continue with a group photo session. I'd like to ask to our photographers to please capture this great moment. And ladies and gentlemen, let us give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much to our speakers for sharing your great insights with all of us. And thank you so much to our moderator, Mr. Jan Ronfeld, for excellently and wonderfully moderating this interactive session. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who still have any questions at all with regards to the Business Summit, please do not hesitate to visit the Business Forum, as well as we will continue the festivities of today. And as the day is still very young, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to come join us and participate in our Indonesian Cultural Night, which will take place in the same location right here at 6 p.m. And please have a great rest of the day, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.